Listen carefully. Right now, people are taking your attention for granted. They text when convenient for them. They ignore you when they're busy. They show up when they need something and disappear when they don't. And you accept this. You respond when they text. You're available when they're ready. You give attention freely while receiving crumbs. You're being disrespected, and it's your fault for allowing it. The world runs on power dynamics you refuse to acknowledge. People don't value what's freely available. They don't beg for what they already have guaranteed. They don't desperately crave presence that's constantly offered. You can be intelligent, attractive, valuable. None of it matters if you're always there. Constant availability signals low value, and humans ruthlessly exploit low value while desperately pursuing high value. Right now, you're probably afraid that being less available will make people leave. Good. Let them leave. Anyone who leaves because you stopped being a doormat was only there to use you. You don't want people who value you only when you're serving them. You want people who desperately want you, whether you're useful or not. And those people only emerge when you make your presence scarce enough to be valuable. Stop lying to yourself about being genuine and authentic. Your constant availability isn't authentic. It's strategic incompetence. You're playing a game where everyone else understands scarcity, and you're giving everything away for free. While you're being your authentic, available self, someone who understands absence and mystery is getting the desperate attention you wish you had. They're not more valuable than you. They just understand power dynamics you refuse to learn. The brutal reality: humans are hardwired to pursue what they can't have and ignore what they can. Scarcity triggers panic. Mystery triggers obsession. Calculated absence triggers desperate pursuit. This isn't opinion. It's evolutionary psychology that's been exploited for centuries. And every day you refuse to weaponize these principles is a day you waste being taken for granted. Machiavelli watched Italian princes compete for power, loyalty, and influence. The princes who made themselves constantly available became ignored advisors. The princes who strategically controlled access to their presence became desperately sought powers. Same person, different availability. The scarcity transformed ignored presence into priceless access. Your attention follows identical patterns. This video will teach you 8 ruthless strategies of scarcity, mystery, and calculated absence that make people literally beg for your attention and presence. Not manipulation. Domination. You will learn to control who gets your presence, when, and at what cost. Stop giving yourself away. Start making them beg. Now, drop this affirmation in the comments. I am untouchable in thought. Machiavelli's law of presence scarcity. Machiavelli documented that the same prince granted different levels of respect based purely on access difficulty. Easy access created contempt. Difficult access created reverence. The prince's actual capability didn't change. The scarcity of access changed everything. When you make your presence scarce, you force people to assign it value based on difficulty of access rather than actual availability. Scarcity is manufactured value. 1. The total ghost that creates panicked desperation. Here's your first weapon. Total disappearance without warning or explanation. You've been available, responsive, present. Then you vanish completely. No explanation, no warning, no gradual reduction. Complete absence. This sudden void where your presence used to be creates psychological panic that triggers desperate attempts to restore access. When you're constantly available, people categorize you as always there. Your presence becomes background noise they don't actively value because they don't have to. It's guaranteed. They text when convenient. They engage when they feel like it. They take you for granted because your availability has trained them that you'll always be there. Now, execute total ghost. Stop responding entirely. Don't read messages. Don't check socials. Don't update anything. Become completely unreachable for days or a week. No explanation. No, I need space warning. Just complete absence where presence used to be. This creates a void that their brain registers as loss, and loss triggers panic. Watch what happens during your absence. They'll text multiple times. They'll check if you're active online. They'll wonder where you went. They'll create stories about why you disappeared. They'll experience anxiety about losing access to you. And that anxiety will build until it becomes desperate need to restore the access they took for granted. The practice is ruthless. Vanish completely. Pick a period, 3 days, a week, and become totally unreachable during it. Don't peek at messages. Don't give hints you're seeing their attempts to reach you. Let them sit in the uncertainty and panic your absence creates. When you return, don't explain. Just resume presence without acknowledging the gap. Most people fear this will damage relationships. It will, with people who only valued you as a utility. Good. Those relationships should die. People who actually value you will be relieved when you return and will treat your presence more carefully, knowing it can disappear. Your absence sorts users from valuers. Drop this affirmation. I refuse to be psychologically dominated by others. 2. The visible alternative focus that triggers jealous competition. Pay attention. Make your attention visibly focused on alternatives. When people think they have your full attention without competition, they don't value it. When they see your attention actively focused on alternatives, other people, other priorities, other options, they experience jealous competition that makes them desperate to recapture focus. Here's what happens without visible alternatives. You seem available, waiting, focused on them. They sense no competition for your attention. This kills urgency because they believe your attention is theirs whenever they want it. Why compete for something with no competition? Why desperately pursue what's already secured? Now watch when you visibly focus on alternatives. Post about impressive activities. Be seen with other people. Talk about other priorities taking your focus. Let them see your attention actively allocated to things that aren't them. This triggers competition anxiety. They realize they're not your sole focus. They might lose your attention to alternatives. And that possibility creates desperate drive to compete for and secure your focus. Think about how you feel when someone you value starts focusing attention elsewhere. You feel competitive urgency to recapture that attention. You pursue harder. You try to be more interesting, more valuable, more worthy of focus. That competitive drive is what you need to trigger in others by visibly focusing your attention on alternatives. The brutal practice: make alternatives highly visible. Post about other plans. Talk about other people. Be genuinely busy with valuable alternatives. Don't hide your full life. Display it. Let them see your attention is scarce and actively allocated. Force them to compete with visible alternatives to earn your focus. This creates fear of loss and competitive desperation. They can't take your attention for granted when they see it going to alternatives. They have to actively compete to secure it. And that competition makes them value your attention exponentially more than when it was freely given. Drop this affirmation. I control my focus. 3. The delayed availability that builds craving anxiety. Here's your next weapon. Strategic delays in all availability. Never be immediately available, ever. When someone wants your time, attention, or presence, there's always a delay before they can access it. This delay creates a craving period where their desire for access amplifies until it becomes desperate need. When you're immediately available, you eliminate anticipation. They want your presence, they immediately get it. Want your response, immediately received. Want your time, immediately provided. This instant gratification prevents desire from building, because there's no gap between wanting and having. The moment of wanting is immediately satisfied before it can grow. Now implement strategic delays. They want to see you. You're not available for 3 days. Want your response? It comes in hours or days, not minutes. Want your time? Your schedule is full and they'll have to wait. Every access to you requires waiting. And during that wait, their desire for what they're waiting for builds and amplifies. Think about how anticipation works. The wait for something often creates more desire than actually having it. That's because anticipation is where craving grows. By forcing people to wait for access to you, you're creating mandatory craving periods where their desire for you amplifies beyond what it would be with immediate access. The ruthless practice. Never be immediately available. Even if your schedule is completely open, tell them you'll check and get back to them. Even if you could respond now, wait hours. Even if you want to see them, make them wait days. Create delays that force anticipation. That anticipation period is where their craving for access to you grows. Some will complain you're making them wait. Perfect. That complaint reveals their entitlement to immediate access. Entitlement you're correctly destroying. People who value you will wait. People who won't wait never valued you enough to pursue. The delay filters entitled takers from genuine valuers. Drop this affirmation. I choose awareness over virtue. 4. The intermittent reward pattern that creates addiction. Listen to this carefully. Create unpredictable variation in your presence and attention. Sometimes warm and engaged. Sometimes distant and brief. Sometimes you initiate. Sometimes you're hard to reach. Never let them predict which version they'll get. This unpredictability creates addictive pursuit as they chase the high-reward version of your presence. Predictable presence is boring. If you're always warm, always engaged, always responsive in the same way, they adapt to your pattern. Your presence becomes expected. They know exactly what they'll get from you, so there's no excitement, no uncertainty, no addictive quality to accessing you. You're reliable, but boring. Now implement intermittent reward patterns. Sometimes you're incredibly warm, fully engaged, giving amazing presence. Other times you're brief, distant, low energy. They never know which version they'll get when they access you. This uncertainty creates gambling psychology. They keep engaging with you, hoping to hit the jackpot of your full engaged presence. Think about gambling addiction. People don't get addicted to guaranteed wins or guaranteed losses. They get addicted to variable outcomes where they can't predict results. Your presence can create the same addictive quality through unpredictability. Sometimes they get great presents. Sometimes they get minimal presents. The uncertainty keeps them engaged, trying to trigger the great version. The brutal practice: vary your energy and presence dramatically and unpredictably. Be amazing sometimes, be distant other times. Give full attention sometimes. Give minimal attention other times. Initiate sometimes. Be hard to reach other times. Create no pattern they can predict or adapt to. Keep them guessing what version they'll get. This destroys their ability to take you for granted. They can't adapt to your pattern because there is no pattern. They can't predict your presence because it's intentionally unpredictable. And that unpredictability keeps you psychologically interesting and actively pursued as they chase the high-value version of your presence. Drop this affirmation: I am untouchable in thought. 5. The information blackout that generates desperate curiosity. Here's a domination technique. Stop sharing information about your life. Create information blackouts where they don't know what you're doing, where you are, who you're with. This information scarcity generates desperate curiosity and obsessive attempts to fill the knowledge gaps you've created. When you share everything, you eliminate mystery. They know where you are, what you're doing, who you're with, how you feel. There are no gaps in their knowledge about you. You're fully known, fully understood, completely figured out. And once you're fully known, fascination dies because there's nothing left to discover. Now create information blackouts. Stop posting on social media for periods. When asked what you did, give minimal information. I had some things going on. Don't elaborate unless pressed hard. Create gaps in their knowledge about your life. Let them wonder where you were, what you did, who you were with. Give them questions without answers. Think about the psychological drive to complete incomplete information. Humans hate information gaps. When they can't fully understand something, they obsessively try to fill those gaps. Your information blackouts create gaps they desperately try to fill, which keeps you in their mind constantly as they attempt to solve the mystery of what you're not sharing. The ruthless practice: share almost nothing. When asked direct questions, give vague answers. Just some stuff I was handling. Don't offer details. Don't update social media regularly. Create the impression of a full life happening in spaces they can't observe. Let them wonder. Let them obsess over what you're not sharing. This generates desperate curiosity. They'll ask more questions. They'll try to extract information. They'll watch for clues about what you're not revealing. Your information blackouts make you a puzzle they can't solve, which keeps you psychologically dominant in their attention. Known things become boring. Mysterious things become obsessions. Drop this affirmation: I refuse to be psychologically dominated. 6. The one-word response weapon that forces pursuit. Pay attention to this power move. Dramatically reduce your response length and energy. One-word responses, brief answers, minimal engagement, no emojis, no elaboration. Force them to do all the work to maintain interaction. This asymmetry in effort makes them pursue harder to get the full engagement they want. When you match their energy or exceed it, you're signaling that the interaction is equally important to both of you, or more important to you. You're investing equal or greater effort. This tells them your attention is freely available and they don't need to work for it. The interaction becomes easy for them because you're doing half or more of the work. Now implement one-word responses. They send paragraphs. You respond with okay or cool or nice. They ask questions. You give minimal answers without elaborating. They try to engage. You give low-energy, brief replies. Create massive asymmetry, where they're putting in 10x more effort than you. This forces them to work harder to get real engagement. Think about how you respond to someone who gives brief, low-energy responses. You try harder. You send more interesting messages. You ask better questions. You invest more effort trying to get them to engage properly. That increased effort is what you want to trigger, making them work to earn your full engagement. The brutal practice: give one-word or very brief responses frequently. Don't match their energy. Don't invest equal effort. Make them work significantly harder than you to maintain the interaction. When they complain or ask if something's wrong, respond with, "I'm just busy," or "everything's fine," without elaborating. Keep forcing them to pursue. This establishes power dynamics where they're the pursuer and you're the prize. When you do give full engaged responses, occasionally and unpredictably, those moments become precious because they're rare. Your brief responses make your full engagement valuable. And people desperately pursue valuable things while ignoring freely available things. Drop this affirmation: I control my focus. 7. The complete silence after intimacy that creates panic. Here's a ruthless move. After moments of high engagement or connection, go completely silent. They just experienced great interaction with you, and then you disappear. This pattern of presence followed by absence creates psychological panic, where they desperately try to recreate the connection that suddenly vanished. When you maintain consistent presence after good interactions, they feel secure. They had a great conversation or interaction, and your continued presence reassures them that the connection is stable. This security prevents urgency. They know you're still there, still accessible, still available. So there's no panic, no desperate pursuit, no urgent need to reconnect. Now, execute silence after intimacy. Have an amazing interaction. Deep conversation, fun time together, great connection. Then go silent. Don't follow up. Don't text after. Don't maintain the momentum. Let the great interaction end with absence. This creates confusion and panic. They felt strong connection. Now they can't reach you. What happened? Did they do something wrong? Where did you go? Think about how you feel after great connection that's followed by silence. You want to recreate that connection. You reach out trying to re-establish what you just experienced. You feel anxiety about why the person isn't continuing the momentum. That anxiety drives pursuit. Your silence after intimacy triggers that same desperate pursuit in others. The ruthless practice, after amazing interactions, vanish for days. After deep conversations, go silent. After fun time together, don't follow up. Let them sit with the memory of great connection while experiencing your absence. Force them to reach out, trying to recreate what you gave them, and then took away. This creates addictive pursuit patterns. They experience the high of your presence, then the low of your absence. They learn that accessing you isn't guaranteed even after great connection. So they pursue harder, treat you better, and value your presence more, because they know it can vanish even when things are going well. Your post-intimacy silence makes your presence precious instead of guaranteed. Drop this affirmation: I choose awareness over virtue. 8. The visible elevated lifestyle that demands effort. Here's the final domination strategy. Visibly elevate your life So accessing you requires meeting higher standards. When people see you doing impressive things, being around impressive people, having impressive experiences, they realize accessing you now requires more effort than before. This elevation forces them to level up, to maintain access to you. When your life looks accessible and ordinary, people don't feel pressure to impress you or work hard to maintain access. You seem like the same person at the same level, doing the same things. There's no perceived cost to maintaining connection with you. They give minimum effort because minimum effort has always worked. Now visibly elevate everything. Post impressive activities. Be seen with high-value people. Demonstrate you're doing things that signal upward mobility. Show that your standards are rising, your life is improving, your circle is elevating. Make it obvious that you're ascending while they're staying the same. This creates competition anxiety, where they feel pressure to level up or lose access. Think about how you feel when someone in your life starts obviously leveling up. You feel competitive pressure. Am I good enough to stay in their life? Do I meet their new standards? Should I try harder to maintain this connection? That pressure is what drives pursuit. Your visible elevation creates that pressure. The ruthless practice: make your life visibly impressive. Do interesting things and share them. Surround yourself with impressive people and let it be seen. Demonstrate rising standards through your choices. Create the impression that accessing you now requires meeting higher bars than before. Force people to level up or lose access. This establishes scarcity through status. You're no longer someone anyone can access. You're someone people have to qualify to access. This qualification pressure makes people work harder, invest more, and pursue desperately to prove they're worthy of your elevated life. Your visible rise makes your presence valuable, because it's clearly being allocated to high-value people and experiences. Drop this affirmation: I am untouchable in thought. Dominate through strategic absence. So here's what these 8 ruthless strategies reveal. People beg for what they can't easily access. Total disappearance creates panic. Visible alternatives trigger jealous competition. Strategic delays build craving anxiety. Intermittent rewards create addiction. Information blackouts generate desperate curiosity. One-word responses force pursuit. Silence after intimacy creates reconnection panic. Visible elevation demands qualification effort.